Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, into our latest series, Hitting That Distance. Today, I'm down on the outskirts of Torquay on a little rock mark, and we're down here today with one thing in mind. Going to try and show you 3 different methods of casting for your fishing to get you further out into that deeper water where hopefully those bigger fish lay up. Now, I'm not necessarily the right person to show you. I've been shown how to cast and that, but as with always, everything with Sea Angle Adventures is having about the right guys doing the right job. And this guy we're bringing down here today, a good friend of mine and fellow Sea Angle Adventures member, Adam Slack, is the right guy to do it. Adam will go through the basics of the cast and the science, to be honest, around the technique of the cast, and it's to do with lead positioning, it's to do with arm placement, leg placement, and there's a lot of things combined in step by step what we'll go through, so hopefully helping a few of you pick up some hints and tips and getting you a little bit further distance. Now, we're not necessarily going to go through a tournament style of casting today, because at the end of the day what we're trying to do is get guys a little bit further with a fishing cast. Now, Adam, I know, was very heavily involved with the casting scene, and he's still it's a big part of his life still. Where myself, I was always going into the casting to develop extra distance and skills with being able to put a bait out a very long way, and I do go back to it every, like, when the winter time comes, I go back on like a January and February, maybe have a few chucks in the field with a few of the guys down at either Westwood Casting or Weymouth Casting, and I really enjoy it. They're really nice guys, and to be honest, if you're practicing this sort of casting, yeah, and obviously we're not going to be able to be there to see each and every one of you with where you're going wrong, but you'll pick up the basics from this video, and then when you go into the casting event, next time you go to the casting event, or if you haven't gone, a lot of people will be put off thinking it's a tournament, there's going to be loads of good people in there and that. Yes, there is, but the only way you're going to learn is learn off of other people. And I know for a fact that Westwood Casting, all the guys down there, Mike Benfield, Ian Ford and that, they're all really nice, genuine lads. A lot of them don't fish anymore. They're specifically only involved in the casting now, that's their hobby. And Varian as well, he's a lovely guy. I know he's took me to the side when I first started going down there and helped me out and showed me where the lead goes and stuff like that. But I had a few different people teach me. I had Steve Puckey, I've had Gareth Davis from Wales, I had Mike Bowen, something like that, from Wales, another lad what I met down at Westwood, really nice guy, he helped me out as well. But a lot of them will teach me different things, where Gareth used to teach me with my leg placement and arm placement and movement of the hips, and Steve Puckey was where he used to do his swing and his arm placement, and then obviously the other one was where he put a step into my cast, which, to be honest, I wasn't specifically ready for. But and so I was happy with my casting distance, I ain't gonna lie. And then when I met Adam, he sort of like opened my eyes to it, because Adam, when you go fishing with Adam, it'll make it look effortless, and I mean effortless. Where I need room, like where I am today is perfect, because I've got loads of room to swing my arms out, you know what I mean, get that lead flying around like in a pendulum cast and hit it to the horizon. Where I do struggle off of some marks where I've got no room behind me, so I'm trying to overhead thump it, and I can't specifically get my lead in that position where I want to. Where Adam, he'll show you a different way of doing it. It's a layback cast, where the lead goes sideways on and comes back, and then as it drops down, you don't need a lot of room behind you. It's to do with the left and right of you, which you've always got room with, and he'll send the bait out to the horizon with that. So what we're going to do, we're basically going to go over with Adam, overhead thump, the layback cast, and then the one you've all been waiting for, the pendulum cast, guys. Now, as I said, it'll be put step by step through. We're going to get Adam to come through now, and fantastic day for it. Obviously, sea's perfect conditions, and it's a little bit snaggy ground close in, but we will get our leads back at distance, and here we go. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so here we have the one and only Mr. Adam Slack. You all right, mate? Yeah, you? Down here today. Yeah. Right, it's been something we've been asked a lot about, and you've been obviously up for helping us out with it and go through. So a little bit of background. I've obviously gone through like your casting history and stuff like that. Yeah. When did you start getting into your casting? Many years ago. Probably when I was about 17 years old, I reckon. Yeah. And worked my way through. When you first started off, how hard was it for you to obviously pick up the techniques and stuff like that? To get where I am now, it took years. Did it? Yeah. Practice. Nearly every evening. Was it? Like, yeah. It took you away from fishing big time. It did. I stopped pretty much. Yeah. Whilst we were travelling, sort of thing. How many years did you do it for? What, the travelling? Yeah. It was on off about 5 years, Matt. Going all over the place. Yeah, Europe mainly, and yeah. taking part in every event going.
Yeah,
really.
Greece, France, you know.
And your furthest cast is, I know we've got the badge down there, 310.
312, yeah.
312 yards.
Yeah.
And how many people in the world have actually cast over 310?
Oh, I'm not too sure. It's probably on a
we were talking about
like,
it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
5 or 6
people, I reckon.
Yeah, and a lot of them are British as well, aren't they? Big Danny must
a lot of them are. Yeah. So you got Andy, you got Danny, Phil Jones. Yourself. A few other ones, I think, that's done it.
Is there?
Yeah. But
it's a very long way.
It is a long way. Yeah. It's
and it's not sort of thing what a lot of these guys are going to be able to do with fishing reels.
This is having your rod set up for it. This is total dedication to even polishing lines and even your rings. You're making sure they're all smooth, no friction on anything. Your reels have got to be running absolutely perfect.
That's where I wouldn't go into it because my reels are running for.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need fishing reels to go on the field. You know, they're not for that. No. So I mean, they're designed for not to get wet, basically. You know.
So after that, you obviously started going. How much did you find that played a big part in your fishing with like species and stuff, being able to cast?
Oh, massive. Yeah, places where I need it. It helps massively.
It's always a tool to have.
Oh god, yeah, it's always better to have it than not, isn't it?
Yeah, so 100%. I found that.
You know, when you're down Chesil and
Bristol Channel, especially when you've got that tide line, by just having the baits in that tide line rather than not in the tide line.
That's it.
Sometimes
it helps out with the ray fishing,
big time,
and up the channel there. You know.
So we're going to go through the first one now, which we're going to go through the overhead thump. Get you all set up for that, and then we'll go through the overhead thump. And then once we've done that, obviously we're going to go through the layback cast, which I'm going to enjoy doing because I can't pick it up. It's not the easiest cast to pick up. It's on place.
It's easy once you've done it once. And then it's muscle memory. That's what you got to do. You got to think about muscle memory. Once you've done it once, it'll all fall into.
And then we've got the one and only the pendulum cast, which many of them are looking forward to. So let's get Adam all set up, and then we'll jump right into it.
First off, we're going to do just an overhead dump just to wet the line. I don't normally do overhead dumps, but there's nothing special about them. It's just you look up and you just hit it basically, and that's it's quite a standard universal cast really. You want your lead sort of like just around where your last ring is. You don't want it too long on this, and then I like to just put a little bit of a swing in it just so it goes out. What you don't want to do is you don't want to bring the tip in to here and then cast, because the tip will bend round to your lead, and normally that creates like your rod to snap. It's an unnatural curve for the rod because it will come back on itself. So again, ideally you want to let the lead in, out, in, and then as it falls out, that's it. It's nothing special about an overhead dump. It's just a universal chuck 'em. I do that sort of like when you're hussing or things like that. I don't normally do it on the beach. Let's get this in. I've got a squeaky reel. I don't know what that is. It's something in here that's causing that. Okay, I'm doing the layback cast now. Alright, so layback cast, again, you want a fairly longish drop on this, and the whole point of this is to put the lead on the outside of the tip. We're doing hardly any effort at all, and it's what I do for 95% of my fishing. It really is that good, you know, and it's very bird's nest proof. You're not going to hit the ground. It's unlikely that you're going to get knots fail or rigs parting. It's just an overall safe cast. Again, you want to drop just above your right hand, so you know, that's perfect. You know, you don't want to go any shorter than that. And then what you do with this is you look at where you're going, stand nice and comfy, right? And then, so after you got your footing correct, you know, and you're looking at where you're going, it's literally, you got to swing the lead left, not like diagonally out. It's got to go left, and then it will come to the right. And as the lead goes up, you allow it to float for about a second, and that will create a little bit of lead speed, and you'll get a scooping effect. If you hit the lead when it's up here too early, you'll feel like the rod is just hitting thin air. It's you'll know it when you do it, because you hear like a whoosh noise, and that's it. But again, what you're trying to do is not get that lead inside the tip, because it's how you break rods. It's not natural for the rod to compress that way. So I'm going to do this now. So obviously, lead just dangles straight. Okay, so left, vertical, up, level drop, then you hit, and there you go. Hardly any effort in that. Easy. But it's absolutely critical in that cast to let that lead free fall for about a second. Okay, so the basic setup again, when you're practicing casting, you want to double up your knots, double grinner knots with a lead clip, which is really important. This protects your knot, and in future casts, you know, that's the bit that fails normally. So especially if you go on a casting field as well, you're not allowed to cast without a clip. It's really important. Now, again, I'm cast this one more for a sec, and then the lead's got to go left, straight, and then you let it fall down, and then up it'll go. And then as you turn that, so as your lead's gone up, like to there, you push your left out like this, okay, and then you'll turn. That's all that is. And it's basically an off the ground cast without your lead on the ground. That's all it is. It's just, but you're just getting a lot more compression into the rod. Okay, so lead just above right arm. Okay, so you want to be in a nice comfy position on the ground. So nice and smooth, nice and slow. Left, right, the lead's going to drop for a second. And away it goes. And that is all you need for fishing. You don't need really to be doing pendulum casting and stuff, you know. You know, with pendulum casting on a beach, it can be quite dangerous to the person next to you. You know, it's not so much the casting, it's component fails a lot of the time. So if a knot or a clip fails, it'll fail there, and the lead doesn't go out to sea, it'll go to your right. If you're right-handed, the lead will go across the beach, and if you've got people standing there, it could kill someone just like that. It's that dangerous. That's why I rarely do it on the beach, especially when there's a lot of people around. So with armour placement, let's go this on here. So when you've obviously you swung the lead to your left, to the right, okay, and your right arm is just a pivot in this. So left to the right here, and your left, after you swung it up and the lead's dropping, you'll push your left out like this, and as you're coming around, you'll be looking up in the air, and that is it. And that is how you stand for an off the ground cast, but only your lead's not on the ground. So it's just physics. It's just obviously with the lead travelling not much distance, but it's pulling against the tip the whole time, or the midsection. It's just little things like that. I mean, I do this for all my fishing. It's all left, right, and around, and that is it. And you're in this position where you're all widely open, and you just come around, and then you snap your left in here. You know, after a day on the field, you get bruises on here because you're hitting it so hard that the tip will just, and all the reel hits you in the ribs. It's just one of them things, but you just got to learn that snap at the end. So I'll do it one more time for a sec. So again, just above your right arm. Okay, yep. So look at where you're going, nice and comfy. Okay, so lead still. So you want to fling it to the left, to the right, left arm out, and away it goes. And that will beat any off the ground cast that you do. For fishing wise, you know, because you know when you're on a beach, it's not a flat surface, you've got a slope behind you, so and that's not really what you want for an off the ground cast. But doing this, it doesn't really matter, you know. I do all this at the Bristol Channel, all my fishing basically. It's a good cast to learn, but I say the main tip is to let that lead drop behind you. If you don't do that, you'll chop over the top and it'll just be like hitting thin air with the rod. Okay, so now we're going to do from a different angle on lead placement, how not to put it inside the tip. What I mean by that, you don't want it inside the arc. The whole point of this is to have, you don't want the lead in here, otherwise the tip will bend in. You could apply far less pressure to that, and like I say, I've seen rods snap by doing this. So if you've got a pendulum cast, your lead goes out, it'll come up and then come down a very steep angle, and it's inside the tip, so the tip will bend very sharply to the lead, and you're trying to stop that by creating the lead to be outside, and I'll just show you that in a second. Right, here we have my mate Luke Johns. It's going to go through him just a couple little tips here. I've been through it with you already, haven't I? But we'll just we'll do it on the film there, and then you can see, and I'll hold the lead exactly where you're going to pick it up from, so you can see the difference between inside the tip and outside the tip, and then we'll see how that one goes, eh? Okay, so what I mean by lead placement is if, I'll show you, right, look, if you just go in your casting position here, so left arm out, okay, now the lead, so lower your tip down a little bit, right, so you're about to hit it, okay, left arm up a little bit, so you're here. Now with lead placement, okay, if I go over here, right, pull the rod, Luke. See that? See that the tip doing all the work? Yeah. Right, and if I put pressure on that, you can't feel much, can you? Like, right, so if I now stand over there, right, so the lead is now outside the tip, which is where your lead's going to come from. Now feel the pressure with less bend in the rod.
Yeah, I can really
see, feel that? So there's hardly any bend in that rod, and your lead is out on the outside. So the tip is hardly doing any work, which means you're using the butt section and the mid section in this. The tip shouldn't be doing anything. It's no power in the you know, the tip section there on the top end of it anyway. You know, so when you do a pendulum cast, this is where you want your lead to be, and the layback cast. See, I'm right angle to Luke there, which means the lead is on the outside of the tip. Okay, so we're going to do one last cast. I'll put on this lovely coloured lead from Luke's tackle box. And hopefully you can see a bit more lead positioning from this angle here. Lead, I like it just above my right hand there. Okay, so you want to straight off the tip there, let it dangle, right, so you want to flick it to the left, left, tick, tock, and then out to the left. And that's as you come around and hit it then, and that's all that is. A bit of weed. Get that off. Okay, so I'm going to sling this one out now. Ugh. Also, always wear a thumbie or a strap here, otherwise you'll get thumb slip most times, especially if the hands are wet. Okay, so nice and straight. So left, Right, let it drop and then back it. It's always good to look up as well, because the lead will go where you're looking. So if you're looking up at 45 degrees, the lead will go at 45 degrees. If you're looking down at the horizon, it's going to go very low, which is what you can do when it's really windy, to be fair. So if you've got a headwind, I quite often like punch it low, because you don't want a very high lead doing that. It's you want to punch right through it. They'll overrun here, but keen. There we go. Okay. These are good casting reels, these are. They're seem to have hit the nail on the head, apart from that little bit of a mag situation going on with it. You see it's digging into my wrist. That's it. That's it. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the pendulum cast and see how we get on with that. Tricky line. That looked like it was getting closer. Right. Pendulum casting. I'm using the same setup what I do with layback casting, so same rod, same reel, 175 lead. Now when I tell people how to do this, I always say the first bit is the worst bit, is throwing the lead away. So it's the hardest technique is to do, is just to swing the lead away at the right height to allow it to fall to create lead speed without causing slack line between the rod and the lead. That's the hardest part. Then there's two stages after that. One is where call it the scoop, that's what I call it. So once you've thrown the lead away, you'll dip the rod, and instead of doing that, you push down and out, and that will flick that lead. But instead of it coming in and up, it'll come in and then it'll come around, and that's how you get the lead outside the tip. You can create massive lead speed with doing this. Again, 3 steps. So one is lead away, dip the rod, and as that lead falls, you push the reel down and out, and then you're in this position here then, and then you just turn and hit it. Now, depending on how your foot stance is, it's a bit hard on these rocks. I like to have, so I'll face where I'm going, I'll bend my knees and I'll swing my left foot round just so I can create a bit more of an arc. Feet space, nice and comfy, bend your knees, get comfy. And then what I tend to do is bring my left foot around, which makes it more comfy for me to swing around to like 1, 2 o'clock instead of 12 o'clock. If you have space like this, it just gets a bit twisty on your back, throwing it away to 1 o'clock. So by spinning that around, without even knowing it, naturally, as you come around, you'll spin that left round without even thinking about it. So again, the hardest bit, after you've done that foot stance, it's lead away. So either drop on the right hand, or as long as you want. It varies for some people. I know my mate Andy Coppin, he adds his drop down to here. I mean, I learned most of this from him. You know, so he has a hugely long drop. But I've always found on my right hand, the same with like Paul Baker and Matt Skelly, you know, who I cast with, who I learnt with basically over the years. But I've just found that's perfect for all rods, even on my SUs. It seems universal for us to have my lead on your right arm. The only problem is sometimes if you get that outswing wrong and the lead comes back at you, it hits your hand and that hurts. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get in a position. I'm going to throw the lead away. So you let the lead dangle. Okay, nice and loose. So rod up, lead comes in, dip your left, dip, scoop, and that is it. And my lead will come all the way around, right outside the tip, and it'll come right behind you over there. And that's how you want the lead, and that's where it'll be every time. On the sand, if you keep doing that and letting the lead hit the ground, it'll hit almost in the same spot every time, just by getting that lead on the outside of the tip. Really slow, there's no snatchiness in this. It's all almost one smooth movement from one step into the next, into the last stage. Okay, so again, let the lead sit still. So the lead will come in, it'll go to your hand, you dip the rod, left, and I'm in this position again. And it'll always end up here. And that's when you're here, you'll automatically open your legs up and then you'll hit it. And that just comes naturally. The hardest bit is that first bit. It's that setup. It's throwing the lead away to enable it to drop. There's a puddle here, and my lead will always land in that puddle in the same place nearly every time on this cast. It'll always follow the same track outside the tip and it will come down. So nice comfy position. Bend your knees, bring your left foot across. It looks a bit weird. So lead still, nice and slowly in. Dip the rod, left, and there's the puddle again. It's only a little puddle and it hits it every time with seaweed. Okay, so also you should never do this without a casting aid, i.e. a thumbie or a strap. I don't like these too much. I use them for fishing, but I prefer a thumbie. It's just something I've always used, but even with the layback cast, you know, if your hands are wet, it can be dangerous because, like I say, if you crack off or a component fails, it will go to the right hand side along the beach. If you just birdie it, it will go out to sea and it'll just have an overrun or whatever, that happens. But when a component fails, a clip, a knot, it will not go out to sea, it'll go to the right hand side and whoever's there could get hit. That's why when you're on the field, no one's allowed past the right hand side of the ocky. It's like when there's a left-handed caster, everyone has to go to his right hand side to get away from it. So it's pretty critical that you do that. Keep to the right or keep to the left of him. Lead in, dip. Okay, my arms are aching now, so I'm going to give the rod to Andy and go through the steps with him. He knows it pretty much anyway, but it's like a little refresher sort of thing. There we go. Okay. Right, here's Andy. Now, we've done this before, haven't we?
Many times.
We'll go through it now and see what he's forgotten.
To be honest, he's been down here now and he's been, I don't know,
about 10, 12 chucks now.
We've been doing it and he's had a few chucks, and when you're casting over and over and over again, it does it.
Yeah, it does that, winding it in.
It's constant, you know what I mean? There's a lot that goes through, like Adam was showing you then, especially with this cast, because as you obviously, the lead swing and that's the easy part, but as you're coming around, you're actually putting everything you got into the cast. So, let's have a go then, lads. Let's have a go.
There you go. Right, look, can I change a few things then? And, right, so, pretend that's the ocky there, here, so I want you to stand like this, out to sea. All right, so all right, on that flat bit there. All right, now bring your left foot round. Take your left foot, that's your right. So you're facing that there, all right, left foot round. Okay, and that's the position you're going to go in, all right? And automatically, that will come around and you'll be open, all right? So, lead on your hand. It's too short. The longer the drop, the smoother the cast, all right? So again, lead out, let it float down, and then scoop. Yeah, and as you see, hit the puddle again. So the lead's in the right place. The lead's outside the tip, and without doing any movement, the lead is going at a silly pace, and it's going a lot faster.
When I first obviously went with Adam, because my style of casting before, I used to have a really long drop, and where I'd be casting like this, where Adam's taught me now, I'd be going out like that and in, you know what I mean? And especially this scooping, is something I had to pick up, because I used to cast that way, so I'd go out like that and then come in like that, but not necessarily with the scoop what Adam's showing you. And my lead, at special marks where I can get away with it, especially on rock marks, my lead used to come right past the bottom of my ankles, and that's where I used to get the distance with. But obviously with this, I would say, out of everybody I've seen, this is the basic and easiest performance of the pendulum cast.
It's the best standard.
And it's most effective.
It's the most effective, yeah, and anyone can do this. Yeah. It's nothing fancy in it, it's just...
I can remember first starting this bit here, this is the bit what used to do me, because it's, like you said, it's getting, for some people, it's just everything's slow.
Yeah, and also if you look, Andy's right arm doesn't pull back. So as he swings the lead away, it will stay at 1 o'clock. So there's no chasing the lead. If you chase the lead, you kill the lead speed. So
I think another thing to put into it, because a lot of people seem to think, keep that arm straight.
Yeah,
keep that arm straight. I remember Nick used to say he used to have like a broom when he was casting.
It's a big topic, that, isn't it?
Yeah, but obviously with what Adam's shown us, it automatically wants to bend.
You can't cast with a complete straight arm. Obviously, you throw it away, it will lock out, and then as you push your left out, it will bend up, and then you come around. And you always want that little bit of kink in it to do the pull and punch at the end.
It's a puddle every time, and it's true. That is something which I went over 10 times.
And with the lead inside the arc, you're going to hit the rocks in here, So it'll come up, it'll stall, and then you'll pick it up, and it's what you call a dead lead.
Yeah, if you're practicing it, what I used to do, I used to go down to the beach, so I'd have 10 casts, but before I even cast, I'd practice that swing what them show me. And what I used to do is there was a lead, where the lead went the first time, I'd put a circle around it, right? And then when I was doing it, I would want it to go there every time, because I know that's the correct, I'm doing it right. And what I found is the hardest thing for me when I was picking up was rushing it.
Rushing it.
Because my cast was very quick before.
You've got to be very slow now.
This is like very, very slow.
But you create a lot more speed.
You can feel it, you can hear it. You know what I mean? It's every time. I remember there's bits what Adam obviously puts into his cast, obviously for the tournament sort of side, and when what I found and learned a lot off you myself was the lead speed. How much the lead speed.
It's critical, massive part.
Because you can hear it, and especially when Adam casts, like go down Westwood and some of the tournament castings and that, you can hear that lead whistling. You know what I mean? I remember being down there and there was some of the Welsh lads that called
Phil Jones, yeah. Tremendous lead speed on him.
Biggest lad. He was down there. He had a free. What's his name now?
What, when we were down there last?
T1000.
Welsh lad.
Sheeran, is it?
Andy Sheeran.
No, it's Andy Sheeran.
Yeah, Andrew Sheeran, yeah. Yeah, another
You've seen these lads.
brilliant caster, yeah.
And they're literally folding them. We've got T1000s and folding them in half, but the lead speed is just remarkable.
Yeah.
The sound of it is,
But you can create that through the smallest effort.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just technique, and you don't get that with the lead being inside. It's all about getting it on the outside of the tip, locking your right arm so it stays where it is. It's a pivot, and his lead will travel all the way around the outside of the tip. Nice and smooth, nice and slow. It is. And see, Andy automatically is in this position here, so he's all opened up, and he's going to come around like this, dip the rod as he's coming around, and then that's it. You just hit it.
I'll have a little cast a minute.
I'll move out your way.
Basically, I'm just going to go through what he showed me originally, and I'm going to go through which I found easy and which I found hard to pick up. Now, obviously, one of the first things I always do is put the reel into your armpit and arm straight, and that's the position of my arms, yeah? So that's where I want my lead, near enough, okay? So it's a little bit long, just drop it slightly. That's perfect, okay? So leg placement and feet placement. So when Adam said originally, exactly the same as that's how Adam has is. I sort of like position mine is slightly a bit different to where I used to cast myself. So my foot placement's really the same as what I did do, and which I do now is my is Adam's swing. And at the end of the day, it's everything slow, okay? I've moved away slightly because when we're casting over there to the left-hand side of us, the rocks are formed, and like Adam was saying, when you're pendulum casting, everything goes to the right, okay? That rock is something which we've hit off the rock, and which I hit off the rock, may I add, and it's flattened. Now, that going at speed, going in and hitting someone is like Adam said before, is very, very dangerous. So you need to have your whereabouts of what you're doing, and it's not recommended if you've got people to the right hand side of you really cast it out and smash them. I tend to walk down towards the sea as far as I can, or tend to go back away, so if it does go, it goes off, you know what I mean, when no one is. But as Adam said as well, it's doubling up your knots. I'll get Adam to go through that at the end of the episode, and that's that. So basically I'm going to have my feet position where I am now, and I haven't got a thummy. To be honest, I never use a thummy when I'm fishing. I don't like it because it's wear and tear on your line. Now a lot of people are going to say, oh, you should use one, you shouldn't. I've got builder's hands, you know what I mean? I'm used to like hard, and at the end of the day it's one of them. If I was tournament casting, I'd be using one non-stop, but I'm fishing at the end of the day, so I'm going out, then the legs drop, scoop in. Nice. The rod feels a bit different because I've been using my SUs for non-stop for a little while now, and this is very, very light. But to be honest, this is what I was using. It's a Tournament Match Pro. This is what I was using when I was doing a bit of tournament casting the other year with Adam. It's a lovely rod, sorry, and a lovely reel. These Fathom casting specials are something else, in my opinion. Probably the best reel available in the market for the money. And the only thing like Adam said, is the knobby mag on the side, which we've changed and put one of the mag 525 or the mag 3 mags in there, so it just obviously slimlines the mag and does what it needs to. But fairly decent cast, seems to go out all right. Wind's picked up a little bit. We come down here expecting to be properly protected, but it's swung round. It was supposed to be northerly. I think it's gone northeasterly a little bit, isn't it? He's gone out there all right. But as I said again, we went to the pit, so I've got him in there like that. That's basically where my hand's position set. What a lot of people may do when they're trying the pendulum cast is worth putting a bit of tape where the top of your hand goes, so you know exactly where it is instead of doing that every time then. But what I would do is get your lead in position, like so. Don't even have your reel unclipped, you're not going to cast, okay? So then what you want to do is basically just practice. So out swing real slow, let the lead drop, scoop in, okay? It goes every time. Just practice. That's what you want to practice. That is the key to the start of the cast. And everything, I remember when I was doing it, just lead just dropping down. That's what I would do, just practice. It's the first part of the cast there, yeah? And when, what I found it was stages, because what I was doing, I was getting, I think I was casting about 230 roughly with my normal cast. I started casting with Adam. I was getting like 220s, and I was going to 230s again. It's different casting style. And then I went up and up, and I got to like 230s, and I was like, what's going on here? And what it was I was picking up the beginning of the cast, but it was struggling trying to get everything put together. So it's not just, that's just the start of the cast. Obviously then you're getting the lead going around. Well, lead placement, which we'll go through with Adam in a minute, is one of the major things. You went through it earlier on with Luke, and it needs to be on the outside of the tip. But when you add everything together, that's when you get the distance. I was saying exactly the same. I seem to like, I was getting like 238, 238, 239, struggling to get up that 240, and then I had 1 and 2 casts what were like 247 and 249, just under the 250 mark, and yeah, it was literally that, and it would have been 250. I was gutted. I remember, I think it was Varian or one of them. Adam was there as well. I think he was up like 280s or whatever that day, 290s. He had a good day on it. But the main thing is to practice. Like what obviously he showed you here today, we've gone through, is to practice each individual part, and then when you obviously put them all together and get everything's right, that's when you'll know you've got it right. So as we said before, lead like that, outswing, then lead drop. See that scoop? I lowered the rod tip slightly then, just because I wanted it to go in the water there. But as Adam was showing again, outswing out, let the lead drop, scoop, lead seekers round, it drops every time. But I'll have one more cast. Hopefully his arms feel a little bit better, and we'll get him back in here to go through positioning of the lead. And the only thing I would say is don't rush anything, guys. There's no need to rush. Everything comes naturally. Obviously, this part at the beginning is going to be very strange. A lot of people will be casting real up. I mean, just feel. What I find is the best way is to feel the lead. Okay, just let the lead do its thing and just stay in contact with the lead. That tip and everything to stay in contact. Just so it feels natural, not like you're trying to pull things. You know what I mean? So. Outswing, lead drops. See that? It's basic scoop. It's like when you're about to go and throw a javelin. Exactly the same, okay? So again, outswing, drop, lead placement around the outside. I'll have one more cast and we'll get Ads back in to do the bits. It's always hard trying to film this sort of thing, because you're trying to pick up everything, so we're going to try and do the best we can with it, obviously different angles and stuff like that. But one more cast for me. Okay. Very nice, very nice. Got into that one. That's when you can feel yourself getting into the rod. And to be honest, like he said to me a minute ago, sometimes it's nice to go back to those original pointers. I felt it myself then. My cast sometimes when you're on the beach now, you get lazy, you don't add the scoop, don't keep this lead placement in, you know what I mean? It's just silly little things which you're fishing, it don't really matter. But when you're actually tournament casting and stuff like that, every little bit of what you're doing helps to your distance. Got down to dry line there, so must be doing something right. He'd have me on that. We used to put little bits of paper and little bits of line in that in the reel, and to be honest, I don't think I've beat him. Wind is very much picked up here today, which is not what we want really. For loads of, I don't know, 150, 160 yards, I don't know, fishing, you can fish a line, don't know what Adam reckons. You're probably in the reed like that now. You get all these people saying I'm casting 100 yards, I'm casting 150 yards, I'm casting 200 yards of a bait on. Half the time they're talking out their backsides. Anybody wants to see how far 200 yards is or 100 yards, best off going to a tournament casting field and you can see. I remember when I first went down to Westwood, that 200 yard mark, I thought I'm going to hit this straight away, no problem at all. You're hitting 170s, 180s, you're nowhere near it, you know what I mean? That wind has really picked up now, but I'm going to pass it back over to Adam and we'll move on with the tutorial.
Better area to cast here as well, nice level platform, so I'm going to do a cast now, nice and slow and smoothly. So again, comfy leg stance, right? Now I always bring my left in front and my right there, and I come around from about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. All right, so lead in, nice and slowly, dip the rod, left, scoop, wait, turn. Okay, with now found with the timing with this is once you push the lead away, you scoop your left and you count in your head 1,000, 2,000, turn and hit it. That's when and that will allow enough time for that lead to travel all the way around the arc to the right point of where you make contact with it and hit your left into your ribs there basically. Avoid that rock. Lead on your hand. Now a couple of little tips to swinging the lead away, okay, is to have, again, it's the hardest bit. So lead stalled, it's not moving, so push the left down, okay, right arm doesn't do much here, okay, so left down, lead comes in, you dip, dip, left. Okay, so again, you've got to try and stop all slack line between the rod and the lead. So when you push the lead away, you've got to cushion all the slack line out of it. So in, dip, dip. Again, you always end up in this position here, and you just turn and hit it then. It's simple really, just 3 stages, and like I say, the first bit is the hardest bit, is that setup. Have a cast now. Okay, so foot stance. Okay, lead in, dip the rod, cushion all slack, let the lead drop, left. Talk about lead position now on the pendulum cast, okay? So again, I'm going to talk about how important it is to get this lead to travel on the outside of the tip and not on the inside. It's vital that you do this, okay? So I'm going to
people actually cast off the tip.
Yeah, well, this is it, and the rod will feel soft.
Yeah.
You know, if the rod, I mean, these aren't a stiff rod, but to get into the midsection, they're fantastic for it, isn't it? Because they recover so fast.
Yeah.
You know, so. You know, I mean, it is a springy tip on it, but again, the power's not up there; it's here. So what? I mean, you always tell a good cast as well, because you get a real crisp finish. So the rod will go like that without any over recovery. You know, you can always tell a good finish. So if you go too early, if you hit thin air, or if the lead's inside the tip, your tip will rebound too much and it'll spring, and that causes crack-offs, which is not what you want. Right, so I'm going to show you on the rod the difference in the tip sections and how they work with lead position, right? So if you stand as if you're about to hit the cast, so you've done your lead swinging, so you've gone left out, okay? Now, if the lead, stop there. So if the lead is here, where I am now, all right, inside, hang on, I just caught on the tip. Yeah, so if the lead is inside the tip.
It's rod, he brought his rod down and thought we'd have a little play.
Yeah. So, position to cast, okay? Now, if the lead is inside the tip, lower the tip down, so you're about to hit it, okay? If the lead is inside the tip, I'm not going to put much pressure on this, but can you see the rod bend with that? I'm putting no pressure on that, and the rod is bending, which is not what you want. Now, if I put the same pressure over here, which is where you'll end up. Go on, and pull. Hardly any bend in that rod, and he's putting far more pressure on it.
Feel it in the butt section.
Yeah.
You actually feel before where it was pulling in the tip, it was pulling in the butt.
Yeah, see, I'm not going to put any pressure on this, and yet he's under a lot more pressure. See?
Oi, mate.
And that's where you want the lead. So the tip's not actually doing anything here. It's all between your arms to probably about that ring there, isn't it? And that's where the power is. That's the midsection. That's what you need to get into every time. Even with that layback cast, you're still getting in to the butt section of that rod. That's it. And see where he is? So he's done that. He activated the scoop. He comes down and out with the scoop.
What I've done then, just by having this wavy lead, put me off my lead position.
Yeah,
Like Adam
he's
said,
kinked.
Out.
Scoop. See, and now look, see he's out in that position there, so the lead will put his left arm higher than his right, and his right arm is still locked towards that cliff face. So it's just a pivot there, and that's it. And then he's ready to hit that. He's turning and hitting that. Now if you hang on to like a couple set, like 1,000, 2,000 on the timing, that lead will travel all the way around to the outside, and that's where he picks it up from, and then he hits it. There, look at that. See that rod recover nice then?
Lovely. Try line as well.
So that cast that Andy just did then was really good. You know, he really did that scooping well. The lead positioning was good, and without any effort at all, he just comes around and hits it, and you don't have to put too much brute force into it, do you?
No.
And it just flies.
Is that effortless?
And you can always tell a good cast because you get that finish at the end where the rod just goes. You'll hear it, you know, and that's always a sign, you know, that you've done a real good technically good cast there, which is what that was just then. So, well done.
Well done. Well done. So next stage now is to go through timing, really. As you said before, and that's one thing I had to wait, because when I first started, it was when to know when to hit it.
It's always better to go too slow than too fast.
As soon as that lead goes past your head, half the time people want to turn into the cast
straight away.
And it's the wrong thing to do. As Adam said then, you're casting inside of the tip, you need to let that lead move around.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is worth watching. You know what I mean? Practice it and worth watching, and keeping your head 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and think about where that lead is when you're watching it. And then when you're turning around then, make sure you're same speed and everything. You don't need to look at it then, you're going 1, 2, 3, and you can vaguely feel it.
Yeah, you can, yeah. And I found that on the 1,000, 2,000, that's your timing. That's your hit. And then that's every time I count that, I say that in my head now, and it's perfect every time.
Yeah.
So, and you know, when you do go too early, you drag it out of its natural orbit and you deck the ground all the time, most times anyway, because obviously the lead's still travelling up behind you, and then you pick it up here and you bring it into the ground instead of it coming all the way around here, and that's where you pick it up. You're gonna pick it up from there and just, well, you hit the ground. It's just...
I used to, with my old style of casting, I used to pick the lead up here, and it was inside the tip, and that's why. And the reason I'm getting, and half the time now, if anything's to the right, it's going to hit, is because of where you're loading the rod up and where the lead is leaving it to. So everything's coming to the right, as you said, and that's where the power is. And it is important,
I mean,
if you're actually practicing anywhere, to make sure there's no one around you. I mean, especially like Adam said before,
especially to your right.
The tennis ball, just that initial swing, even as the tennis ball, just the lead like that, just practice in going in, out, let it drop and turn around the scoop, you know what I mean? Somewhere with sand is ideal, because you can literally drop the lead straight into it. And it's worth just going over and over and making sure that's right and right and right. What we're going to do now is I'm going to get Adam to do some more casting and film some different angles, because we want to try and get as much as we can in. Because it's a very difficult thing to actually film, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? You can't see the lead, it's moving too fast.
A lot of people watching it are going to go away and think, oh, that's ideal, we'll go and pick it up. But you will get bad habits. You're bound to get bad habits, but it's picking up those bad habits. So what we're going to try and do now is to put you in to the point of view where we can pick out some of those bad habits now, and obviously move them around, and hopefully you pick it up correctly. So, game on, Matt.
Again.
Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically put myself in positions where I know I'm doing something wrong. I'm going to get Adam to correct me. Okay, so obviously a lot of them at home now, you'll get too used to it. So, okay, so if I'm put on like that, my
No
feet
good.
like that,
No good.
why?
You'll fall over.
Yeah, I am going to.
Yeah, you're going to fall over.
If I cast
that
like
rod,
that,
yep.
like that, as I go to turn around, the force of that rod's going to push
Yeah.
me right off. So, comfortable.
Comfortable, and you find also when you are off balance is when you turn to cast and you kick your right. I used to do this when I was learning. So you turn, and as you hit it, you lift your leg. Your right foot always comes off the ground. That means you're not in the right position.
Yeah. What good way?
Yeah, I've seen you used to do that. I've seen you doing that, but you don't do that now. But yeah, it's normally when you're standing face on to where you're casting, and then you're twisting. So as you're coming around, you kick your left up.
If you're in the sand, I'd get a circle, just draw a circle, right, around where your feet, not the very big, but like shoulders width apart circle, yeah? And then put 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Have your foot in 12 o'clock, and you have a foot in 3 o'clock. Basically, that's a nice firm shoulders width apart, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if they want to obviously set that, they're there then.
Yeah,
Stand.
that's for you, but that will also create, I think, your right foot to kick up if you cast now.
Depending on what way you're casting.
Well, if you're casting...
If you're going to cast, yeah. I'm casting there now.
Yeah. But if you try how I do it now, all right? So you stand here.
Shoulders width apart.
So yeah, and then it'll feel weird, right? Like that, and then just put your left like that.
Yeah. See, I feel...
That'll feel weird. But when you swing the lead away, that will not feel weird. Yeah. And then you'll naturally, as you're coming around, you cast now, right? And watch what happens to your legs. There, just like that. See that? Just by naturally doing that, you've turned, opened yourself up.
That's a tournament caster in him.
See? Yeah. You did that without even thinking, and you've opened right up.
That's the trouble with, if you're on the rocks, you won't get away with it.
Yeah, I know, but you can't pendulum cast on rocks, really. Not properly, because obviously, like Andy found that down there, and hence that lead's all smashed up. You know, it's awkward.
My footing is always, like as I said before, I always pendulum cast no matter where I am. I try to, and for me, sitting like that now on the rocks, it's going to.
Yeah, it is.
Where Adam's, I can see exactly what Adam's doing and the reasons why he's doing it, because as he's coming around, he's also getting the whole body width, body pressure of him coming around. Plus, he's getting that extra warmth of his body turning into the cast. So that snap is actually there, isn't it?
It is there, and just by you just doing that just then, you did that without even thinking. Then
no.
You open right up, but
that's what you do on a feet.
Yeah, but that's you know, if you're on a beach, I still do that. Yeah, you know, I always cast like that now. You know, and it's just one little step. So you're there to there, and that's all that is. And you do your cast, and you'll naturally open around to this angle here. And you've got a hell of a strength in here, you know.
Yeah.
You know that rotation there, because you're using your legs as well. Not only are you using your upper body strength, you're also you're pushing off your leg here as you're turning, and that also creates a lot more power through the rod.
Would you say to him to add that step straight away, or?
The first thing you need to do
is get everything
right. To get that throwaway properly done.
Are they better off standing square on?
Well, to start off with, you want to stand comfortably, so you're not feeling awkward when you're learning to do.
See,
when you're throwing that lead away.
Step every time now. Just by doing that, he's off put me.
I haven't off put you.
When I go to fishing,
you've lost a
fishing now, and I'm on a rock.
No,
and I'm like all like that.
I'll put you out of a bad habit. That's what I've done.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, I agree. But as I said, like most of the places we go, Adam's simple cast is I can't do it, but he'll go up like that.
No, see, with your layback cast.
Yeah,
see, it's because you're not.
I do that everywhere where I can't do it. I've picked.
Yeah, because you're throwing the lead in the wrong place. You literally just want to let it go to the left here.
For my.
See, you're stepping back and realising now.
But yeah, so that foot placement.
It's important. It's critical, you know. But you see a lot of people kick their right leg up, and that's because they're in the wrong stance, and the rod is pulling them off the stance, you know. And it just looks off balance. You're losing so much power through your legs, you know, because you're kicking up. You know, it's.
So we'll go on to the next part. So obviously placement's the first one, and then body movement. On your hips, you want to be turning freely with your hips.
Yeah, you do.
Turn.
Yeah, but you, like I said with the step, you know, I really suggest adding that. If you're on a big sandbar and you got loads of room, you know, I really suggest, you know, you step, because not only that, you enable yourself to throw the lead away at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock without any stresses on your back or anything like that. And once you've done that, you scoop it, you step, and then you're in this position here then, and your right knee, your right leg is bent. So as you're coming around, you're pushing up as well. It's just little bits like that create yards. It's
100%. So we'll move on to the swing now. So basically, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a bad habit. I'm going to bring my old rod down here.
Yeah.
So go down. Wrong straight away.
Wrong straight away. Yeah.
Reasons being.
It's just you're going to be too close here, and not only that, that rod will just flatten you. Well, I don't go arm to arm, reel to armpit. I don't do that. I go even when I'm on a casting field. I've got about that much on the rod there, purely for the fact that that there snaps in lovely, and you can't like over snap it, if you know what I mean. So obviously when you're coming around here, you know, to that you're here, and it'll come around and it'll just snap in there, and that's what you want, is that in here. And not only that, I find that by shortening the rod a little bit, creates you can cast a lot faster towards the end. You get a hell of more snap. You know, with my T12s, even my T9s, it's all about this here when I cast. Fishing as well. Not only when you're fishing, you got room there without a reducer to fish with, you know. So, but even on the field, that's where my reel sits, you know.
So that
it's personal preference.
That can be exactly the same done wrong. So obviously, there now. If I
it's what's comfy, Andy. You know,
like that,
no, it's what's comfy. So it's what's comfy. So you know.
You can
grab hold of it, and I can push against you. You know, and you're strong. If you have your arms too far apart, you know.
You'll fall over.
You're off balance. You know what I mean? Or if it's in too close, you know, you want something that's just rock solid.
Something that feels comfortable, basically.
Comfortable, rock solid.
Comfortable for you.
Yeah, and like I say, it starts with your feet in the correct place. It really does. You know.
To me, I don't know. It's got
when you go to cast,
probably in the wrong place.
Well, when you go to cast, what's the first thing you do? Your foot stance, isn't it? You pit a patter, you do whatever, don't you? You know.
To be honest, for me, it's positioning my arms.
Yeah, but
then I'll get into position because I've got my arms there instead of having feet. That's personal preference, but
that's fine.
Obviously, I know straight away on the casting field. I see them all do it. The first thing
I'm like it. You know, you got to get comfy but it's hard. You can't do that on the rocks.
Happy feet, they call him. Right. So that's gone on to the thing. So we can go through that thing. So that's the second stage, yeah. So the next one is the lead placement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it out, and then I'm going to do it wrongly, just get into to do it for a start.
Yeah, too fast.
Way too fast.
Way too fast. Way too high.
Right.
You can do this really slow and smoothly.
What I used to find, and I'll say it, is when I used to go up like that, I wasn't going high enough. Then I was going too high. But what Adam did say to me is when the lead is in the same as so everything's like straight going up, that's where you want your lead.
Yeah, basically you want almost a straight line
parallel
between the rod and the lead.
And then the little way. So
you'll dip the rod.
See that dip there? Just let that lead dip slightly. I was trying to rush that, wasn't I?
Yeah,
I was trying
massively.
to turn it off that. Just by letting that drop, it created.
But you can do this so slowly. Yeah.
That's got to be at the same time. As you see it now, I've done that.
See, it's all three stages. It's almost one movement. You know.
Yeah.
So
it's going too fast.
Yeah. So let me just show how slow you can do this.
You can do it very, very slow.
Very slowly you can do this. This is like I say, you don't need to rush things with this. It's just technique. It's all it is. So again, foot stance. Okay, so I like to have my lead straight off the tip, just dangling there. Okay, and then I'll push the reel down. Let the tip up. Lead will come in. Then I'll dip slowly. And just by doing that, and just the lead speed is just, you know, without doing any effort at all, by scooping, lead in, dip the rod, and you're here, ready to go.
The lead is literally, as he's casting, it's coming from here.
It'll hit over there.
It's literally coming about a foot away from the back of him.
But it can't hit you, in theory, because
of where he's got his arm placement. What I used to find, and you've seen it a couple of times when I was doing it, I used to have it right there, right? And when I was coming back around a couple of times when I've done it, I'm trying to create the speed. It's hitting me in the hand, and I tell you what, it hurts.
Yeah, and
I position it just above my hand now, so when it comes back, it's nowhere near my hand.
No,
it's weight.
And another tip is how you hold the rod as well. Little things like this help. Is when you're casting, you don't want to have it on your hand like that. What I do is turn it like that there. So as you've done that here, it's locked in there. Now if I held the rod underneath, as you're coming around, it can pull out your hand, which happens. You notice that? Yeah. So when you cast, so your thumb goes over the top of the rod, okay, let in, so you drop, and then it's here. So it's locked in, so that rod cannot come out your hand. So again, it's just little things like that. So obviously when it's coming around like this and the rod's compressed, it's locked in. So if you have it underneath, then you twist, it can literally pull out your hand. It's just little things like that, you know, I do. It's personal preference, isn't it? But it does help.
Part of the magic.
It's all part of the magic.
Well, guys, we very much hope you enjoyed the production, and there's a few hints and tips there along the way. It's an effective and easy way to perform the pendulum cast. In my opinion, it's probably the best way I've ever been shown. It's not hard to pick up once you pick it up. Lots of practice. And anything else you want to give the viewers?
Don't crack off.
Last cast.
Last cast. Yeah. No, it's on all serious note though. It's just everything's got to be slow, smooth. Take out any jerkiness in it, any loose lines, slack lines. You know, you just want it all nice, smooth, and slow. And remember always when you push your left out is to push down and out. You know, not out, down.
It might be a good one for the Facebook group, and get Adam a bit active as well, and he's probably going to hate me for saying this with 20,000 people in there, but if you want to put a few videos on the group of you casting,
yeah, I'm quite happy to comment and help out.
He's probably the best person to watch what you're doing wrong. He'll give you a bit of advice. If your feet are too close together, your arms are better, or you're rushing into the cast, he's going to pick it up. So feel free to put them onto the Facebook group, Sea Angle Adventures Facebook group. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys. There's a lot of people who watch these videos but aren't subscribed to the channel. It amazes me. But to keep up to date with everything what we're doing, please subscribe. And from myself and the rest of the Sea Angle Adventures team,
tight lines.
Next time.